What if everything you believed about success, happiness, and approval was actually what's holding you back? Picture this. You spend your days bending to fit a mold you didn't choose. You carefully manage how you're perceived, editing your words, shrinking your desires, measuring your worth by glances, likes, or someone else's nod of approval. You chase acceptance like it's oxygen. But here's the unsettling truth. The more you care about being liked, the more you lose yourself. Michel de Montaigne, a thinker centuries ahead of his time, saw this clearly. He understood a secret that many of us are just now beginning to grasp. The constant need to care what others think is a prison, and the moment you stop caring, you begin to live freely. We've been taught that caring is noble, that fitting in ensures success, that validation equals value. But Montaigne challenged all of that. He urged us to turn inward, to examine the silent fears that shape our lives, the fear of judgment, the terror of failure, the obsession with perfection. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, how much of your stress comes from trying to meet expectations that were never yours to begin with? How often have you dimmed your light just to avoid standing out? How many dreams have you abandoned because of fear, not of failure, but of what others might think? Montaigne called us to a higher standard, not the standard of the crowd, the standard of the self. He believed that real peace begins not with achieving more, with needing less approval, less control, less perfection. The irony? When you let go of the exhausting chase for validation, things begin to align. Your confidence rises. Your choices become clearer. Your relationships become more real. This is not about apathy or withdrawal, it's about clarity. It's about peeling away the noise of the world so you can hear your own voice again. Because the moment you stop caring about the wrong things, the right things start to fall into place. And this is just the beginning. We've been misled. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means finally choosing yourself. In a world obsessed with hustle, image, and control, we're taught that not caring is reckless, a sign of weakness or detachment from life. Montaigne flips this notion on its head. To him, letting go isn't about indifference. It's about liberation. It's not about abandoning people or purpose. It's about releasing the chains of obsession, with status, with perfection, with being constantly understood or admired. Think about it. How often do you grip things tightly? A job, a relationship, a reputation, not out of love, but out of fear? Fear of being irrelevant, fear of being alone, fear of being seen as less than. This kind of attachment breeds suffering. Montaigne observed that we bind ourselves to invisible expectations of how life should look, how we should be perceived, how others should behave. And when reality doesn't align with these expectations, we fall apart. But what if we stopped expecting everything to make sense, be fair, to go our way? What if freedom isn't found in control, but in surrender? Letting go, as Montaigne described it, is an act of trust. Trust that life will unfold even if you loosen your grip. Trust that you are worthy even without applause. Trust that being misunderstood isn't a threat, but a sign that you're living honestly. And here's the paradox. Once you stop chasing approval, it often finds you. Once you stop forcing outcomes, better ones appear. Once you drop the need to prove, you begin to be, fully, freely, authentically. Letting go doesn't shrink your world, it expands it. It teaches you to accept people as they are, not as you wish they were. It helps you show up without performance. It invites you to live each moment without dragging the past or fearing the future. Montaigne knew this well. He withdrew from public life not out of defeat, but out of clarity. He realized that the richest existence comes not from clinging, but from unclenching. He wasn't running away, he was choosing peace over pressure, solitude over spectacle, truth over performance. And you can do the same. Not by quitting everything, but by releasing the belief that everything depends on you. Because when you let go, you don't lose control, you lose the illusion of it. And that's where your true power begins. What if your flaws weren't failures, the doorway to your freedom? We live in a world that worships perfection, in how we look, how we speak, how we live. There's pressure to perform, polish every edge, to appear flawless even when we're falling apart inside. But Montaigne offers us something radical, a mission to be human. He wasn't interested in appearing wise, he wanted to understand his own contradictions. He wrote openly about his fears, his faults, his bodily weaknesses. Why? Because he knew what we often forget. Chasing perfection is a losing game. The more we strive to control everything, our image, our outcomes, even our emotions, the more anxious and disconnected we become. Here's the truth Montaigne saw so clearly. You cannot control life, and you don't need to. You don't need to be perfect to be at peace. You don't need to fix yourself to be worthy. You don't need to always have it together to be whole. In fact, the very act of accepting your imperfections, not hiding them, not fighting them, is what gives you real strength. Because when you embrace your flaws, they lose their power to shame you. You stop performing. You start living. Montaigne believed that by understanding our nature, not as gods, but as flawed, fleeting, beautiful creatures, we unlock something deeper than self-esteem, self-trust. You begin to trust that who you are, even in your messiest moments, is still enough. This doesn't mean you never grow. It means you grow from love, not from fear. You make changes not because you hate yourself, because you care enough to evolve. You learn to stop measuring your worth by comparison or control. And in doing so, you reclaim the energy you once spent managing every detail, every impression, every imagined flaw. When you stop trying to perfect your life, you start to experience it. And slowly, you begin to understand what Montaigne knew, that our imperfection is not a problem to be solved, it's a truth to be lived. Here's the paradox. The less you need from others, the more freely you can love them. We often confuse attachment with affection. We believe that the more tightly we hold on to someone, their approval, their presence, their attention, the deeper the bond. But Montaigne saw it differently. He recognized that true connection begins where neediness ends. Attachment isn't cold. It's not withdrawal, and it's certainly not indifference. It's clarity. It's loving without clinging. It's showing up fully, not to be completed, to share your wholeness. How often do we sabotage our relationships by demanding too much? Not too much love, too much control over how others behave, respond, or perceive us. We shapeshift to stay liked. We edit our truth to avoid conflict. We become someone else to be enough. And then we wonder why our connections feel hollow. Montaigne believed in a kind of friendship, and, by extension, a way of being that was rooted in freedom. He famously described his bond with Etienne de la Boétie as a perfect friendship, one based not on benefit or dependence, mutual respect and deep understanding. They didn't need each other to feel whole. They chose each other because they already were. This is what detachment offers us, not distance, depth, not isolation, but integrity. When you stop clinging to others for identity, you begin to see them more clearly and love them more honestly. You stop demanding that they heal your wounds or fill your voids. You allow them to be human, flawed, and free, just as you allow it for yourself. It's in this letting go that real intimacy is born. Because only when you no longer need someone to be a certain way can you truly appreciate who they are. Montaigne teaches us that connection without control is not only possible, it's more beautiful. It's sustainable. It's real. So if you've ever feared that letting go meant losing love, remember, what's real doesn't require your grip. It only asks for your presence. What if your need for certainty is the only thing standing between you and peace? From the moment we wake, we seek to control the day, the outcome, the impression we make. We draw up plans, chase answers, and try to wrap life in guarantees. But life doesn't obey. It surprises. It stumbles. It changes shape just when we think we've figured it out. And that's exactly what Montaigne understood. Life is uncertain by design, and trying to escape that truth only exhausts us. He didn't see uncertainty as a threat. He saw it as the essence of being alive. You see, Montaigne watched people crumble under the pressure to predict imperfect. They tried to outthink chaos, force meaning where there was none, to control the uncontrollable. And in doing so, they missed the very thing they were trying to secure, a life well lived. So he chose a different path. He surrendered to the flow of life, embracing its impermanence, its messiness, its mystery. Not with despair, with curiosity. And here's the irony. The moment you accept that you don't know what's coming is the moment you start to feel free. Because when you stop needing everything to make sense, you begin to experience it instead. When you stop demanding certainty, you make room for wonder. When you release your grip, life meets you with more than you could have planned. This doesn't mean being passive. It means being present. It means living fully even without knowing what tomorrow brings. It means trusting that not having all the answers doesn't make you lost, it makes you open. Montaigne's legacy is not just one of introspection, but of courage. Quiet, radical courage to live truthfully in a world that wants control. Say, I may not know, but I will keep walking. I may fall, but I will not fake. I may lose, but I will not betray myself to win. This is the freedom Montaigne discovered, and it's available to you the moment you stop chasing certainty and start trusting the rhythm of your own unfolding. So let go, not of life, but of the illusion that you must master it. Because when you do, when you finally stop clinging, everything begins to fall into place.